Hello adventurers, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be discussing safety. I'm going to be asking a couple of my female friends how that they prepare to be safe on the road with some easy common sense tips. And at the end of the video, I'm going to show you something that I found that is pretty interesting, that might be of value to you, but along the way we're also going to share some of the tips that I would share with anyone that would be interested in this lifestyle. Traveling as a solo female is something that can be kind of intimidating and scary, but it doesn't have to be. We are all independent, we are all brave, we are stronger than we realize, and by using a few common sense things, I think this could be very helpful to you. So today we're going to be discussing those things. One of the first tips that I have for you guys is find things that have multiple purposes. For example, I have this little hatchet. Now this hatchet I originally purchased not as a defense weapon or anything like that. I purchased this for my campfires, and I wanted to have something that I could chop up little tiny kindling so that I could get the fire going, or if I had smaller, tinier pieces, I could potentially use this to help me out. Now it does come with a protective sleeve. This protective sleeve has a little loop through for a belt, so if I am out on a hike, I can also take this with me. And that was very important for me to have that multifunction, because if I decide to go and take longer hikes, I want to make sure that I'm protected. So something like this is great, but mostly I use this around camp and not so much as a weapon, but it does help out if you do have something similar to this. Now I will never tell you where I keep all of my items. You can turn to this as one of your systems for taking care of yourself. Now the nice thing about this is it does serve many purposes. Let me explain. The bright handle is very good because if you are out in nature, people can see you, and that's something that is important, especially if you're traveling around during any kind of hunting season. Having bright colors like this orange or a vibrant yellow are very imperative. Now the hatchet itself, you can see, has a blade on the front portion, and that's perfect for splitting small pieces of wood. Additionally, you can use these sections to strip down pieces off of branches, which is why I like it. You can put them through, you can pull off all the little pieces, the leaves and things like that. And so it's super, super handy. But again, something like this can be used as a tool or as a protection item. Okay, Collie, what is your advice for all of the people out there watching in way of safety?
I have several different ways of protecting myself, but one of them is a taser.
A taser? That looks like a flashlight.
Yes, it does. But
Oh, that's aggressive.
yes,
So do you have to have any permits or anything like that for a taser?
I do not believe so.
Okay, so where did you find your taser?
This was a gift.
Okay, so somebody was taken out for Collie, but they do have tasers. Let's look at this one a little bit closer. It looks like a flashlight, so it's nice.
It is a flashlight.
Okay, so it does have dual purpose. Okay, so it is a flashlight, so she can use this for every day, but then it has this other button on here, and this other button makes the crazy wild noise, aka the taser.
And it is rechargeable.
Ooh, that's nice. Now, if you were using this, how would you use this if you needed to in a scary situation?
If I needed to, I would have it turned on and then
just put it direct to
and push the button.
Okay, so you have it like a regular flashlight. So if you're out walking, going to the restroom, doing any of the things, and somebody came up, all you'd have to do is flip it, push it, and go.
Right.
Okay, that is super convenient and way better than most of the tasers where you have to have like an extra hand if you're carrying a flashlight.
Yes.
So again, this is pretty cool. And the brand on here, it looks like it is Vibrotech. So that's pretty cool. Ladies and gentlemen out there, if you're looking for something to keep you safe, check this one out, a dual purpose taser. The next two items that I would recommend for anyone to consider for various reasons are pepper gel and also bear spray. Now these are very different and should be used very differently unless they are in case of an emergency. First and foremost, bear spray. If you are out in the wilderness in an area that is heavy with bears, they do recommend that you keep bear spray in your rig at all times and on your person if you're out and about hiking. So this is what the bear spray looks like. This particular one has a holster space again, so it can clip to your pants or go through your belt, and it's really easy to get to. All you have to do is pull it out and you can use it. Now, you do need to know how to use this though. I will not be doing a display for you. However, there are tons of videos online as to how to do this and how to discharge it properly. This is something that is going to be very powerful. At the same time, that does not necessarily guarantee your safety against a bear. I know that a lot of times we like to think of the safety against other people, but we also need to think of our safety against critters out in the outdoors. A lot of times we are thinking about, oh no, somebody's going to break into my van, somebody's going to do this, somebody's going to do that. But in all reality, you are just as likely to encounter a critter as a person in some scenarios. So with this, I just slide it back in, and it is holster ready once again, and this can be deployed and has a very wide path. The only problem with this is if you have this in your vehicle and you're trying to use it as a defense mechanism, the blowback on this is going to be huge, which means that you are going to also bear spray yourself. Now, you are not supposed to bear spray humans unless your life is at risk. This is not something that you're supposed to do. This should not be used as pepper gel. It just should not. And if you do that and discharge it at someone unlawfully, you can get in a lot of trouble. So that's why I always say you have to be responsible with the tools that you're using. Now let's talk about pepper spray or pepper gel. They come in these little canisters like this. You can get them in a variety of colors, sizes, but the main thing that you want to focus on is that pepper gel is superior to pepper spray. The reason why is because the blowback on it is much less. It has a more concentrated stream, so whenever you're using it, it goes directly toward wherever you're pointing. Now this one's pretty easy. All you do is you lift up and then you pull down. I've done demos of pepper sprays on my channel before. I think that everyone should have this, but specifically one that is this style is very handy because you can attach it to your keychain or you can attach it to your belt with the little clip. And this one in particular has a breaker on it, meaning that this is a different form of safety beyond the threat of another person. You might also need this if you ever have to get out of your vehicle and cannot get the door to work properly. If your door is ajar, a window breaker will help you to get out. A lot of people recommend these just in case your vehicle becomes submerged. You can easily hit the window and then be able to evacuate the vehicle so you're not stranded in a vehicle that is sinking. Now, one thing that you have to know about this, however, again, knowing how to use it is very important. Knowing that whenever you spray it, not to continue going forward toward the person, but rather away from them so that you can evacuate. The reason why is because even though it is a gel and it's more concentrated, if you are going forward, you're walking into the pepperiness that you are creating. So you want to always move away from it. And that's going to keep you from also inhaling this and starting to have tearing eyes and things like this. Now, not everyone is responsive to pepper spray or pepper gel. So you need to know that if this does not work, you need to have a different defense. However, there's something else. Sometimes you cannot take pepper spray into places. You need to be understanding of where you're going, what you're doing, and also the restrictions of those areas. For example, Riley and I went into Meow Wolf in Las Vegas, and they had a sign saying nothing like this could enter. They gave us the option to either take it back to the car or throw it away. This is just how it is. You can't really get upset with a business for having that particular guideline. And even though it might make you feel safer, it might not be allowed. And that's just how it is. We can't get frustrated at other people whenever they do not allow us to have certain kinds of items. They have reasons for that. And so just because it is your safety item does not give you the right to carry it into some places. Additionally, there are other safety tools such as these, which are handheld or also keychains, and they are typically like jabbers or pokers. Those are not allowed in a lot of places. So if you do choose those as your safety items, although you might feel secure and safe, those might not be able to go into some of your most common places. Now, the next thing that I would recommend is not something that's necessarily going to protect you from others, but will keep you safe just in case, as this is called. Now, this is a just in case. They have various safety items inside of these, including Band-Aids and things for gauze. If you were to get, for some reason, injured, this is very handy. I know that a lot of times we talk about safety from a defense standpoint, but this is just as important. Now, you're probably thinking, why is this just as important? Well, if something does happen and you hurt yourself while you're out, safety also is part of that. Safety means that you are getting safely from point A to point B, whether it is an intruder breaking in, a person walking up to you, or you physically harming yourself by sliding or tripping or falling or bumping or breaking. These are things that you need to consider also. It's not just about the weaponry or the things that you can use to help yourself yourself save yourself, but also to protect yourself in the long run. So there are many kinds of medical kits out there. I found this one just at Walmart, and then I added to it the different things that I personally need. For example, I have more gauze in here. I have more things for sprained ankles. I have different things that I use for headaches or for whenever I'm ill, and all of it goes into one case. Another thing that I recommend is putting a little card in both this and then in your bag that you carry on your person, or put it in your van somewhere where someone can find if you have any special conditions, any medications, anything like that. Because if for some reason something happens to you and someone else has to help you, finding that card, knowing what kind of medications that you're on already, could get you help faster. If they know that you're going to have a reaction to something, they won't give that to you. These are all safety precautions that go far beyond just the basic weaponry. And I think that that's very important also. But again, for a practical look, let's go over to Riley and see what Riley would suggest. Riley.
What?
I have a question for you.
Oh, yeah?
In regards to safety.
Yeah. All right. Let me come in now.
Okay, come on out. You know, safety as a solo female traveler is sometimes a bit of a question mark.
Yep.
We have lots of people who follow us and ask us questions.
Yep.
And most of them want to know how we take care of ourselves on the road.
Oh, okay.
So do you have a quick and easy hack that you would tell anybody could be helpful that might be something they wouldn't think of?
Yes.
Okay, into the Subaru she goes for the magic. She's looking for the magic. What is she going to find? What is she going to reveal to us? She has emerged with a cup?
Actually, this.
Okay, explain.
Okay. So, all hot girls need a giant, well, this one's a Hydro Flask, but Stanley Cup or 40-ounce tumbler.
Something that looks like this.
Something that looks like this. Or any water bottle. Because when you fill, it's like the stainless steel water bottles that are really heavy. So, if it's full of water, this one's kind of empty, it's really painful if you drop it on your toe. So one can only assume that if danger is lurking near, you grab the bottle, you swing it over their head, you bop them on the head, and then you run away.
Okay, can you display how that would look if you were bopping someone on the head?
Let's pretend this is like a head, right?
No, because then you would bop your
I won't
car.
actually bop the car.
Allegedly.
Okay, so first it's like, oh no, I'm being attacked. And then you take the bottle, and then you go like this, smash. Oops.
See? How about we air smash?
Okay.
Hulk
You
smash.
Smash, and then you smash, and then you beat them with the cup.
I mean, that would save your hands. Because I feel like if I were to hit someone, I wouldn't have near as much ferocity as this, which is ouch. And we'll take it from Riley
It has
because,
a handle.
yeah.
The handles are the best one.
So if you were in your Subaru and you were in sleep mode,
Yeah.
how long would it take you to get something like this?
I always have my water cup right next to me.
As do I. So this is a great way to defend yourself. So in all reality, what Riley is saying is very accurate. If you have something that you can easily grab, that's going to be the best weapon that you can have with you, because most people in the dead of sleep are not going to think, ooh, let me grab something from a certain place. They're going to think, okay, what's available to me so I can get out of this situation? And so if you have anything that is near you, you can pick that up and you can use that. And that's what I always encourage people to realize. You don't necessarily have to have one specific tool, one specific weapon, one specific way of defending yourself. In a small space, everything becomes something that you can use. So if you're out and about and you're exploring and you're having a hard time because someone has come up and you have access to a power station, a pepper spray, a knife, a water bottle, a taser, whatever it is that you might have access to, that is going to be your best source of defending yourself. And a lot of people want to ask, what tools do I have? What do I recommend? What do I carry with me? And the fact of the matter is that has changed over time. Each time that I go out, I find other things that might be more beneficial to me. And sometimes I just look at the things that are already around me. If you have a small power station, it's a brick. I know it sounds weird, but if a very small power station isn't very heavy, you can use that, and that's going to make a bigger dent than you fussing around with pepper spray and potentially pepper spraying yourself. If a person has something and they're not familiar with it, that does not mean that that's a good weapon or tool to protect themselves. It's really important that we educate ourselves on the things that we're carrying with us so that we don't give that to whoever the person is who's trying to do harm to us. It is very important for us as individuals to make sure that if we are going out to camp and recreate, that we prepare ourselves accordingly. A lot of people want to know what exact tools that they need, what what exact weapons that they should carry with them. And I will never suggest something like that to someone if they are not educating themselves on the use of that item. I think that that's horribly irresponsible. And so instead, I just want to share with you, there are a lot of different options out there, and each of those options has value if you're responsible and know what to do. I have seen many times that people have said that they would like to carry handguns or things like that. If you are not educated as to how to shoot, you are literally handing that to the person. Don't do that. Also, if you're in a small space, if there's any kind of recoil, those are all things that you have to think of when you are looking at how you're preparing. Keeping things in your vehicle and being familiar with them, be it a water bottle like Riley has, a taser like Holly was showing, or other items like I have shared on the channel previous, is something that I would definitely want you to look into before you get going. Don't get out on the road and then think of that as an afterthought. There are too many people out there who think of those things as an afterthought and panic. And when they do, they instantaneously put themselves in a bad position because they're camping in a place they're unfamiliar with and hear sound. Or they're in their vehicle and someone does bump their vehicle by accident in like a public space, and they freak out and immediately draw for something that isn't necessarily something you should have in that scenario. Understanding different scenarios is important. But one of the things that I would say to you all that is a big, huge safety tool is taking care of yourself by knowing what's around you, by either installing tiny little cameras on your van, which can be quite costly, or doing something as simple as picking up a trail cam. That's what saved us from staying at a place that we felt otherwise unsafe. Having a trail cam to see what was going on outside was very, very important. And that is also a version of safety. Now, you can't put it out in a Walmart parking lot or a Cracker Barrel or anything like that, but if you're in a remote space or a campground like this, you certainly can. So think of those options in addition to the regular things that you would think of. If you don't feel comfortable with something, don't carry it. If you do feel comfortable with something, educate yourself. That's all I ask. And I will show you something kind of interesting that also proves that you don't have to spend a ton of money in order to defend yourself. I found something at Harbor Freight that might be of interest not only for protection, but also for around the camp, being able to use it in a variety of different ways. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to show you an affordable way that you can have a tool that can help you around camp, but also work for safety. This is something that I picked up from Harbor Freight. Whenever I picked it up, you can see the container itself. It shows some very interesting features. And so this is something that is a multiple use tool once again. Now, let me explain a little bit more about why something like this could be helpful to you so that you can see the value in something like this. As you can see, this is a knife. It has a sheath that buttons and fastens. It also has a belt loop section where you can put it through your belt loop, and then also it has a carrying strap to the top. Now, the nice thing about this is it's not your average knife. Now, this was very affordable again at Harbor Freight. When you unbutton it, you can pull the knife itself out. It also has a serrated like saw-like blade on the top, so you can use this as a saw at camp also for some of your smaller kindling, and so that's really, really nice. Another nice thing about this particular knife is, as you can see, it does have a point. If you wanted to get this sharpened down, you could use this as one of your kitchen knives, so it would have another function. But this knife has something very interesting that I wanted to share with you. Now, the reason I wanted to show you this is because, again, we like multiple function items, not only for safety, but also for practicality. And this one has a really cool feature on the top portion. It actually unscrews, as you can see, and as it unscrews, it reveals a compass. A compass is something that can help you on your hike. So if you are bringing this along for safety on a hike, you can easily have something to help you directionalize yourself as well, which is very nice. So it gives you safety whenever you're out and about. But additionally, inside here is a little storage area that you can put all sorts of things. Now, this one comes with something pretty interesting that could be helpful around camp. A little tiny kit here. Let me show you what's inside. First and foremost, again, the compass is in the lid itself. Super handy, making this more of a survival knife, not just something that you could grab if someone was trying to intrude, but something that could literally help you if you were stranded and abandoned in a place. But inside this kit, you have a small sewing kit with several different pieces here. You have matches, buttons, you have fishing line, and also a small hook. So this is genuinely a survival kit. Now, inside, if you look, you can pull all this out independently. There's also a couple of other things in here that will help you out, including this little guy right here, which helps you to keep a fire. So if you did get stuck on a trail somewhere and you had this knife with you, you could make do for a few days if you could maintain the fire that you were able to start and potentially signal for help. Now, lots of companies out there exploit the outdoor industry and sell you very expensive products, but you don't always have to break the bank just to feel safe and secure. Again, if you were to have something like this and a bear spray, you could feel a lot more safe on many of the trails. But if you were to have something like this in your van, you could also have something that could protect you in a pinch if somebody were to invade. Now, I understand that there's a lot to it whenever you look at things like this, especially if you're trying to figure out if you're going to feel comfortable or safe, like basically brandishing these items. Again, you should never have anything in your space that you do not feel comfortable brandishing. So if that means that you just stick with Riley's idea of having a water bottle that you can use as a weapon or tool, do that. If you feel comfortable having something like this, do that. But educate yourself again, once more, on how to use each and every one of these items and how that the practical use of these can change based on what activity that you're doing. If you are out and about and you're more outdoorsy, something like this could be super handy. Any kind of things that you can use for multiple things is going to reduce the footprint in your space. I think this is my way of sharing with you guys a few interesting things. I'm glad that my friends were able to help us out just a little bit by giving their insights. Consider these things. Never tell anyone where you have your items because you give away your location. And additionally, remember that safety isn't just about how you can protect yourself, but rather how you can make sure that you're safe in an incident where you might get hurt or harmed by the outdoor elements that might not involve people. As you can see by today's video, this is a multifaceted look at safety in general for solo female travelers especially, but this could benefit anyone. Remember guys, it's not necessarily just about what you have in your space as much as it is how you can use that item for a variety of different purposes. Think of the things you're already going to have with you. Don't necessarily break the bank just because somebody told you you need to get some expensive thing. Instead, look with common sense. Also, look within to see what you feel comfortable with, and from there, make your choices. Remember guys, we're not here for a long time, but we are here for a good time. The only way we can have a good time is if it's a safe time. Till next time, bye.